Welcome aboard Tristan and Tommy's Runaway Railway. For your safety, please remain seated and enjoy the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Please Remain Seated, a theme park podcast hosted by two theme park enthusiasts that work for the industry in Orlando, Florida. We got a lot of news coming out of Orlando, Florida today. A couple just coming out the day that we're recording this, regards to updates with the Lake Nona project from Disney, as well as the Galactic Starcruiser. Got some roller coaster updates in the area and some Universal updates regarding a new land and some Halloween Horror Nights rumors. Also going to be discussing my Artist Point storybook dining with at Artist Point at the Wilderness Lodge. Sorry, I've just woken up from a nap. And then we're going to be discussing some underrated roller coasters as well as a TRISTory. Tristan, what's going on, my guy?
I'm just hanging in there, doing all right.
Me too.
Apologize for the delay here. It's been over a month since we've put out an episode, so
Yeah, like the
sorry for
last.
all our listeners. We left that void in your podcasting ear holes, but we're back now to fill that void.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of news to really talk about the last time we sought out to record. Like we recorded our Not Safe for Work one, and then they're like, we were like, what are we gonna do for Please Remain Seated? There was nothing going on.
Yeah,
Now we got a lot going on.
yeah, we got a lot going on, especially today. I mean, we already
Yeah.
had today's recording planned for I don't know, a few days. I don't even remember when we planned this. It's
Yeah.
all a blur. But then today we got some news things that really were quite shocking, in my
Yeah.
opinion. But before we hop into those, Tommy, give us a little teaser for what our next episode might entail.
So on the next episode that we record, I will be reviewing Pipeline the Surf Coaster. That's going to be opening at SeaWorld Orlando this month, May 27th. Of course, pass holder previews are going on right now. I have yet to make my way out there. I should be going this week though, so the next time we record, I will have a cute little review. I've been hearing good things about it, so I'm looking forward to riding it.
Yes, I'm excited to hear about it because you, me, and all our listeners both know I probably won't get to that theme park anytime soon.
Yeah, no, probably not. And then also speaking of roller coaster updates in Orlando, Mind Blower at Fun Spot Kissimmee is getting the RMC 208 retrack treatment, which is very surprising because usually when RMC works on a roller coaster and does something, it's usually a much older ride. Mind Blower opened up in like 2015 or 16. It is not an old ride by any means, but it has gotten rough. I remember the first time I rode it was 2018, and then I rode it again like last year, and it was uncomfortably rough. And I don't think RMC has done their 208 retrack. Like, of course, they're known for completely retracking and like redoing the layouts, but like this is just like they're retracking parts of the ride with steel. And I don't think they've really done that with any other ride, maybe one or two, but it's kind of cool and exciting. Of course, Fun Spot just opened a ground up RMC ride, Airy Force One, a couple months ago in Georgia. So, I guess they're continuing a partnership together, RMC and Fun Spot. So good for them. I'm looking forward to the retracking of Mind Blower. What do you think, Tristan? You're gonna go to Fun Spot Kissimmee to ride Mind Blower?
To bounce off what I just previously said about when I'm ever going to ride the pipeline surf coaster, I'm most certainly not ever going to make my way to Fun Spot Kissimmee.
Why not?
It's in the middle of Kissimmee.
That's fair. That is fair.
Maybe some of our global listeners might not understand. Kissimmee ain't the best place.
It's kind of trash. Yeah. Um, but for those who are, just trying to find a nice little roller coaster to ride, Mind Blower once it finishes the 208 retrack. It is a really cool layout, but it's just gotten uncomfortably rough, so I'm excited for the little update on it.
For those who might just be trying to find a little roller coaster ride, Fun Spot Kissimmee. If you're in
Correct.
the area of Fun Spot Kissimmee, you're in the area of plenty of other parks with a lot better roller coasters.
True, but those are more expensive.
Um, so should we hop into the whole? Let's just hop into the whole Disney side of things. All right, because
Let's
we
hop
got.
into Disney stuff.
Oh my goodness gracious! I'll start from the least interesting, and we'll go to the most interesting, which just happened to be the
Yeah.
ones that were announced today. So, First and foremost, Pixar Place opened again at Disney's Hollywood
Yep.
Studios. For those who don't know, Pixar Place was the little street just off of what is now the entrance to Toy Story Land. But it actually used to be the entrance to Toy Story Mania before Toy Story Land existed.
Yeah.
And then it was called Municiberg for a little bit. It was still called Pixar Place, but like it was designed like Municiberg out of The Incredibles. You could go to the Edna Mode experience there and meet Edna Mode. And then they closed it for quite a while, and they have just now reopened it. It's even more Incredibles themed, and you can now meet Mr. and Mrs. Incredible, Edna Mode, in the same meet and greet she was before, plus Sully from Monsters Inc., which is cool, but they did
Yeah.
have to move him out of the Walt Disney Presents meet and greet because Ariel, live action Ariel, will be going in there this month.
Cool, cool,
So
cool.
it's cool, but it is an entire area that is themed to the Incredibles. Like there's Cookie Nom Noms everywhere and
Yeah.
Jack and all this stuff, and then Sully's just in the middle of it.
Sure, why not?
It's Hollywood Studios, so is it
Yeah.
really that out of place in Hollywood
It's not
Studios? No,
that
because
that
nothing
that's
makes sense there.
yeah, no, that sounds about right for that park. You could take that street out completely and I wouldn't even notice.
Yep.
Um, throw in an Incredibles attraction of some kind. I don't know. That isn't a meet and greet. Um, but I mean, I guess there is a demand for it. So
Yeah, I guess so. I
yeah,
guess so. But other than that, staying in the Hollywood Studios immediate area, this is something that a lot of people probably saw coming.
yeah.
The
Hmm,
Galactic
hmm.
Starcruiser permanently closing in September of this year,
Oh
2023.
man, it's like it's one of those things that yeah, like you said, some of us saw it coming, and it's like this has to happen, but it actually being announced is just wow.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I wonder if it was like hemorrhaging money, you know,
Mhm.
or if the demand wasn't quite there. I just don't know. I'd have to assume it was probably losing significant
Yeah.
money if they're closing it after only like a year or something. So,
Yeah. No, for
um,
sure. Yeah, less than
wow.
2 years of it actually running. I mean, within less than a year, maybe a year, they had to significantly reduce the experience because I know they used to have like two different like dinner times, and a lot of the cruises just went to one dinner time, that type of thing. Like I know there's been like a lot of coverage elsewhere about like the Star Cruiser like kind of lessening offerings, if you will. Um, I mean, just the whole concept, especially for the price. Like, I wonder if they just lowered the price, like literally cut it in half if it could have made ends meet. But for whatever reason, Disney was really dead set on it being like $6,000 for 2 days or whatever.
Yeah, and that's just it's a lot to ask of a
Yeah,
guest. I have to assume that the only people that were actually doing it were like the elitely rich
yeah,
or like I don't know, crazy diehard Star Wars fans that
yeah,
saved up for 3 years to go spend 2 nights on this thing.
yeah. It's like you have to be a rich, diehard Star Wars fan to even possibly enjoy it. Um, and like I'm just thinking, with the price tag, there are so many like better, longer vacations you can do. Like you can do like a week-long trip in Europe or just like three actual cruises. Like there's so many things you can do with that money instead of spending 2 days like in a concrete box that is pretending to be a Star Wars spaceship. Now like they're like all credit, like I have seen like people online say that they did have an amazing experience with it, so good for them, but it's just too much money for what it is,
Yeah.
like for
I
the
have
average
no
person.
doubt that the experience was actually top notch, that the service was top notch, and that the theming was top notch. Um, Not to mention you can expand your experience by going to Galaxy's Edge on one of your
Yeah,
days and experiencing everything there and actually getting a specialized experience on Galaxy's Edge if you are a Star Cruiser guest.
yeah,
However, it all goes back to that price point. I mean, there's no way around it. $6,000 for 2 nights. It's insane. So,
Yeah,
and the average person who's
absurd.
coming down, they're not going to just have that 2 night vacation.
Exactly.
They're probably also having to go through the pain of booking another hotel to have an extended Disney World vacation.
You could have a regular Disney vacation on that budget if you do it right.
Yeah, you could have like a regular stay at Pop
Yeah,
Century or any value resort, which there's
yeah,
nothing wrong with doing
yeah.
for way longer with that money.
Correct.
Way longer. And that
It's like
includes park tickets and everything
yeah,
else you would need.
absolutely. So, you know,
Anyway.
never
um
got to experience any part of it myself. Never really had a strong desire to. I'm curious if they're gonna do anything with that space, but
it's such a small space, I doubt it. I
yeah,
bet it just becomes nothing.
yeah, probably.
Who knows? Maybe they'll keep the building there, just like they did with River Country for however many years, and like you can just drive by and like, oh look, it's that thing that used to exist.
Yeah.
But staying in the realm of cancellations,
Yeah.
I
Ooh.
think this next one is less
Ooh.
about money and more about the current political environment of the wonderful state of Florida. Disney has officially canceled its plans of building that campus. I guess it was sort of an executive administrative campus in Lake Nona, Florida.
Yeah. It's like an
Um,
Imagineering campus, I think, too.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And hold on a second, I gotta get my dog a toy because he's whining like an annoying beagle who waited until I started recording a podcast to start whining, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Anyway, uh, so yes, the Lake Nona Imagineering campus has been canceled out of basically, I guess, I don't know, retaliation, whatever the opposite of retaliation
Maybe.
is, whatever the response to retaliation is,
Yeah.
from the whole Ron DeSantis thing, power play that he's on right now.
I know a part
Basically, I
of
think it was Disney saying we don't want to help your economy. We don't want to help your state. If you're going to act like this, we're not going to bring this huge, epicenter of our company to your state.
yeah.
And I don't think they needed to. I mean, I don't really even know at the beginning what the benefit of having the Lake Nona campus was. Maybe just having Imagineering closer to Florida, which is
I
obviously
think
our headquarters, like our most important theme park location.
yeah. I think probably the benefit would have been it was probably most likely going to be less taxes is probably the reason why they wanted to move their base to Florida. Um, but I think including in the announcement in the email that Josh Tomorrow sent out today, he had said that like, a lot of people weren't really excited about the move as it was. And like I think we knew that beforehand. Like there's a lot of Imagineers that like were even potentially leaving the company because of the move itself. And like most people were in California did not want to move here to begin with.
Yeah.
So I think the current political environment definitely was on top of that, gave Disney like, you know what, screw it, we're not going to do it. And I know recently, I forgot if it was in the most recent earnings call, but Bob Chapek, oh my God, not Chapek, Jesus Christ, Iger, he was he talked more about how Disney has done so much for the state of Florida, and how they plan on doing so much within the next 10 years, and with the way Florida has been retaliating against them, expressing their First Amendment. Which, did we talk about how Disney is suing the state of Florida on this show?
I don't
I don't
know
know.
if we've talked about the countersuit.
Yeah, because like
No.
they're going to federal court for they're taking Governor DeSantis to the federal court for retaliating against their business for expressing their freedom of speech. And Iger recently said, so we just have to ask, do you want us to invest in Florida or not? Because Disney, like, honestly, Florida would not have an economy without Disney. Like, we're Disney's the reason that there's no state income tax in this state. So, if they want to, you know, screw over the company that made Florida, they're gonna face some consequences potentially. So,
That's our next president, Tommy. That's our next president.
oh boy.
In today's world, I'm not. I would not be surprised.
If he put as much effort into that, like, and the other crap that he puts his effort into like actually making stuff better, imagine how amazing this country would be. But
Oh, I
anyways,
know. I know all about it.
but
But
anyways,
anyway, we got to hopping across I-4 here down to the Universal. We got some things going on down there. What's that, Tommy?
all right. So Universal officially announced Illumination Minion Land. Of course, they're gonna have the VillainCon Minion Blast opening sometime this summer. Gonna be a walk-through, shoot 'em up type of attraction, kind of Buzz Lightyear or what's the other thing at Universal? The Men in Black ride, but like it's gonna be a moving walkway. Um, then of course we got the Illuminations Minion Cafe that's gonna replace the acclaimed Monsters Cafe. Got a Bake My Day Sweet Store, Pop Banana, Freeze Ray Pops, and Illumination Theater. So gonna be a lot of like stores and the attraction that's already there and the one that's gonna be opening. Um, I don't have any problem with the Minions Land itself, but the fact that this is the first land that you walk into in the main Universal Park is certainly a choice. I am kind of looking forward to the Minion Blast attraction, like a moving walkway thing, because like they have the moving walkway stuff like that in like museums and aquariums. I don't think I've ever seen it for like a theme park attraction setting, especially one big like Universal. Um, but then walking into the main Universal Park into Minion Land, and sure, it'll be cute or whatever. Tristan, what do you think? What are you thinking about Minion Land right now?
I'm most excited for the new nighttime spectacular that the production company Illumination will be taking advantage of their name for the new nighttime spectacular fireworks show, Illumination Reflection of Bello Biluba Bolobodobo.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's also gonna be a Minion meet and greet, which that's fun. Um, then of course Universal is working on their Kid Zone area, updating that. Um, that park really needs some more love, I think. It's getting all like, some kid stuff, which is nice. But like, Islands of Adventure got Hagrid's and Velocicoaster within a 2 year span. And then they're opening Epic Universe and Universal Studios, I feel like needs some more like appeal for the older audience soon. So hopefully after these and Epic Universe, they really consider throwing in like a major e-ticket there or something because they really need it. I do enjoy that park, by the way. It's just like it needs some love.
Yeah, they got to do something with that park because like
Yeah.
walking through there even now, and it didn't even occur to me until you mentioned Epic Universe, but like Islands of Adventure is like a whole notch above
Oh my
Universal
God, yeah.
Studios. So when you walk through Islands of Adventure and you do everything there, and then you walk through Studios, you're like, "Whoa, what is this? Is run? This is like run down. They need to update this." And
Yeah.
now, like you said, with Epic Universe, man, Universal Studios are gonna feel like Six Flags.
Yeah, correct. And like, some people who don't know any better, like, sometimes you come to Florida, you only can go to one Disney park, you're going to the Kingdom. So when some people, they might only have time for one Universal park, they think, oh, we got to go to the original. That one is way behind Islands of Adventure,
Mhm.
in my opinion. Like Islands of Adventure, arguably is the best park in Florida.
Yep.
Like you can make an argument for it for sure. Kind of hard for me personally to make that choice, but like Islands is just so much better. So hopefully they give Universal some more love in the future. Um, there is another rumor at Islands that Poseidon's Fury that just closed. I really don't want to actually. I don't know why this came up in my head. Some people are talking about, ooh, they might turn into a Zelda thing. Nothing about that's actually official, but like, imagine like if they threw in Zelda over there, like just more cool stuff for Islands.
Yeah, yeah. I will say I did the Poseidon's Fury show once. It was actually I want to say it was the last time I was at Universal, which shows how long. I mean, it was a
Yeah,
long time ago now. But I thought it was cool. I was like, wow, this is
yeah,
neat.
yeah. No, funny enough, for as long as I've lived here and for as long as I've been a pass holder, I've just somehow always skipped it. So when they announced its closure, I'm like, okay, I have to do it. And I'm like, this was pretty like I enjoyed it to an extent, like it was very unique. Um, that one part where you walk through like that water tunnel, it like the smell of it reminded me of old Universal Studios. Like it is a very old attraction. So like the vibe and then just the smell of that like really kind of like hit me with old Universal. So like that was really cool. But I was also like, honestly, if they didn't announce this was closing, I probably wouldn't be doing this much anyway. Wish I could have done it more since it is gone now, but like, Um, yeah.
Yes.
Then one other final news update coming out of Universal. There was a permit put out regarding Horror Nights that some people are speculating could be an 11th house. Universal did already announce that there's going to be 10 houses, but in years past, there was an event where they already announced 9 houses, and then it turns out they had 10. And there's a lot of different rumors about different houses that could be happening this year. So whether or not that an 11th house actually happens, I've been very hyped up for this year. Um, just because last year was the first time I did everything. Here I am sitting with my See You in the Fog candle. But anywho, Tristan, thoughts on a potential 11th house at Horror Nights?
Nope. Don't care.
Nope, you
Next.
don't care. Yeah, next. Okay, cool. Excuse me.
I'm
Had to
not
do
editing
that.
that out. That's staying in.
Good. So last night I went to Storybook Dining at Artist Point, which is at the Wilderness Lodge, Disney World's Magic Kingdom Resort, one of them, and I gotta say, that may have been the best dinner I've had on property. Like I've been living in Florida for the past few years, been slowly make my way to every restaurant, I've repeated it a couple times. That one has been on my bucket list for a while. I feel like I don't hear it talked about that often, but like everyone I know that has done it has said amazing things about it. I know my roommates have raved about it. Um, but it is character dining with Snow White, Grumpy, Dopey, and the Evil Queen. And like the Evil Queen you get to meet after dinner. I don't want to talk too much about the experience itself, just in case, you want to be a little bit more surprised. But aside from the character dining experience, the food was incredible. Like the food was worth the price point alone, let alone the character dining experience. And I'm not even like a major character person, but I do love Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. And then just this. It was just me and my girlfriend, and like it was a fixed price dining. But oh, it says that my microphone changed. Crap. Hopefully that doesn't screw anything up.
No,
We'll
you
find out.
still sound the same. It has been cutting in and out to like from being your podcast mic to your other mic, like 2 or 3 times so far, but it's only been a couple seconds. So
Interesting.
I
Okay.
don't know if like your wires are plugged out or something like that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to look into my wires. But anywho,
Yeah.
um, let's see. And they actually, because I couldn't decide between a couple of the entrees, so like they threw in basically an extra entree in it. Like my girlfriend ordered the gnocchi, and then we also got the pork shank and the prime rib. And the pork shank, oh my God. Like, ugh, I wanted to kill myself. And then the appetizers, like they come out with 3 different little appetizers. One of them was a mushroom bisque. That alone could have been a meal. Like if I just ordered a mushroom bisque like in a larger portion, that could have been a meal. It was just the experience, the atmosphere. 1,000 uh, what was I gonna say? Represent,
One
recommend, recommend.
one
Jesus, I'm still waking up from my nap. Um,
1,000 represent.
yeah, represent the artist point BB. So
We got
yeah,
to get T-shirts made that have your face on it and it says 1,000 represent, 1,000%, whatever you just said.
yeah, we'll do it.
um, was it during the day or at nighttime when you went?
So it was around it was 5:30 p.m. so dinner time, which it is bright outside.
Mhm.
I think the atmosphere in the restaurant would have been a lot better at night, but like it was still a really cute atmosphere in there regardless.
Okay,
So
that's
if you're
cool.
able so if you're able to get a later reservation, I would definitely recommend that. But even if you go during the day like I did, like it's awesome.
Yeah. I've been in that space. I've never eaten there, but I've been in that space and it's a really cool space. I can only imagine what it would be like at night. Um,
Oh yeah.
when it feels like you're in a forest at night, basically.
Yeah.
And
Oh
so
yeah.
that would be cool. But I do have to what I will say, because I haven't eaten at Artist Point,
Mhm.
is that now that you've said that, I can confidently say that Wilderness Lodge dining is superior.
Correct. The
Yeah.
Wilderness Lodge, even before Artist Point, was my favorite resort. Um, and like Whispering Canyon was a part of that because breakfast and dinner there is incredible. Plus, Geyser Point is awesome, and now Artist Point, like it honestly made me wish that I could take a Disney vacation and stay at the Wilderness Lodge.
Hmm.
Like, like if someday I leave Florida, I will spend every dollar I'll ever have staying at the Wilderness Lodge just so I can eat at Artist Point twice.
You know what you could do with your $6,000 you didn't spend on the Galactic Starcruiser?
That
You can stay at Wilderness Lodge, even in one of their expensive rooms, for probably 5 days, 6 days.
correct.
So, um, but yeah, no, a Wilderness Lodge, just a fantastic resort. Everything
Yeah.
about it. Love that place. So I'm gonna have to definitely go over there and eat. Um, but we'll hop on out of the food and into the roller coasters.
Ka-chow, baby.
Couple episodes ago, last episode, I don't remember, we did our top five overrated coasters. Tommy had the idea to continue that and do our top five underrated coasters. I will say going into this that much like our previous roller coaster discussion, I'm not that knowledgeable about these sort of things. I haven't had a lot of experience. So my answers here are kind of like they're very limited based on the rides that I've ridden. Tommy's gonna have a much more
Yeah.
interesting list.
Yeah. And no one's gonna have heard of most of these anyway, but we're gonna go along with it anyway.
Let's do it.
All right, Tristiano, I'm gonna let you with the first hoop.
All right.
You-
I'm gonna start at my number one.
Okay.
And I'm going to go down to my number five. They're not really in an order,
Yeah.
but this first one I'm a little more passionate about. Matterhorn bobsleds at Disneyland.
Slay.
It's not that it's
Um,
not a well-known coaster,
yeah.
but I'm a history fella, and the history of that roller coaster is where it's at.
Yeah.
It is the first ever steel tubular track roller coaster in the world ever. And we can thank our favorite Imagineer, Bob Gurr, for helping create that whole ride system. So just the history of that, and especially since that steel tubular track design ended up becoming very incredibly common in roller coaster design after that point. It
Yeah.
is historical in that regard. Little rough on the body though.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you got some back problems, you're gonna have worse back problems.
Yeah.
But that's
Kind of
my
crazy
yeah.
how Disney led a major roller coaster innovation, and Disney isn't, people don't go to Disney for the roller coasters necessarily, but they really innovated in that department.
Mhm. Exactly. And so long ago too. I can't remember what year that was opened. It was in the 50s.
Yeah.
When Walt was still around. So very early on in the development of roller coasters. But yeah, that's my first one, Matterhorn bobsleds.
Awesome. So none of mine are going to be in any particular order either. I'm going to go to one here in Florida though. Cobra's Curse over at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Before ever going there, I had never even heard of this ride. Like I'd never heard anyone talk about it, and it ended up being one of my favorites there. It was a family spinning coaster. It had some really good theming in the queue and a little bit on the ride as well. Um, and it like the spinning aspect, it was just a lot of fun. It had an elevator lift hill too, really cool. I was just very surprised. I had never heard anyone talk about it. It was super cool. Cobra's Curse, Busch Gardens, Tampa.
Yes.
Yes.
My next one here, it's kind of I don't know. It's the Rock and Roller Coaster. Um,
Ooh,
it's
I
I think that it doesn't get as much attention because of its short ride time.
Yeah.
Very short coaster. Probably a little generic too in its ride experience with only having what is it, one loop and two corkscrews, I think it is. Something like
Something like
that.
that. Yeah.
Um, but here's my thing, and I wrote little parentheses next to each one on why I include it in my list. History was for Matterhorn bobsleds. My little parenthesis for this one is cozy. When you pull that thing down, the overhead restraint, I'm so snug. It just
Yeah.
feels very comfortable. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, whip me around in this thing, and I'm not gonna go anywhere. I'm gonna feel comfortable
Yeah.
and everything. I love the sensation of pulling that thing down on me because you really are snug in that thing.
Yeah. It's definitely a ride that like I feel like coaster enthusiasts don't get enough love, but like it is so much fun. Like it is older and like jankier to an extent, but like it's so much fun and like the theming is so cool. Like I really enjoy the theming.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next one I'm going to talk about is Afterburner at my home state park, Carowinds. Afterburner, a B&M invert. So the track is above the train and it has a relatively modest height, but like some really unique inversions on it and a really cool layout. I feel like when people talk about the best invert coasters, they'll say stuff like what's the one over here at Busch Gardens? I'm forgetting the name of it. Montu. Like I've heard Montu in that conversation a lot. I rarely hear anyone mention Afterburner, and it's so cool. Like it's honestly one of the roller coasters that would bring me back to that park.
Uh-huh. My next one is over at Six Flags Great America. This coaster might exist in other Six Flags parks too, I'm not sure. But it is the Dark Knight coaster.
Ooh,
And it's just a traditional Wild Mouse style coaster in the dark, themed to the Dark Knight. I put this one in really just for the nostalgia factor for me. I grew up riding that, as a kid and as a teenager. Um, and it's certainly not a notable Six Flags roller coaster, which is kind of why I included it on my underrated list. But yeah, Dark Knight coaster, pretty fun.
I almost included that on my list. Like I'm not even
Ooh,
kidding. I did have it on my list, but then I ended up replacing it. But just
fun.
like the theme, because I wrote it at Great Adventure in New Jersey. So like they do have it at other Six Flags parks. But like I think it being like dark and well themed, it like for a Six Flags coaster, it like almost gave me Space Mountain vibes in a way. Like it's a cool coaster.
Yeah.
Um, Next one I'm gonna throw, which actually that same park, Great Adventure, Medusa. It's a B&M floorless coaster. Um, I another roller coaster I hadn't heard much about before going on it. But it was a little bit older and like pretty decent theming, and a lot of the elements were very smooth, and it was really cool. Like there's this one, it was like it did some inversion, then went into a zero G roll that felt very floaty and cool, but very fun ride.
Mm. My next one is over in California, at Disney California Adventure, the Incredicoaster. The
Ooh,
reason I
yeah,
included this is because it's, in my opinion, uncharacteristically Disney.
yeah,
It's just a big, fast, tall roller coaster that still has theming. I don't know the positive way of saying this, but it's not as immersive theming as pretty much any
yeah,
other Disney roller coaster. It is truly more about thrills than it is theming. And I really like that aspect
yeah,
about it because if you just want a big bad roller coaster, you can ride that one and get your fix. Whereas Disney parks generally don't offer those types of roller coasters.
yeah. And crazy enough, Incredicoaster is one of the longest steel roller coasters in the world.
Wow.
Like I need to look at that exact stat. I'll look at that after I or my next roller coaster on this list. But like it is one of the longer steel coasters in the world. Next one I'm gonna go with, it's gonna be at my home state park again, Hurler. It's an older wooden roller coaster. It honestly gets a lot more hate than anything, but I still really enjoy the layout. They had a clone of it at King's Dominion, which RMC converted into Twisted Timbers, which honestly ended up being my least favorite RMC, funny enough, that I've been on. So like people like, oh, Hurler needs to get RMC'd again here at Carowinds. No, keep it the old janky wooden piece of garbage that it is. I love it.
So those vibes that you just said right there apply to this roller coaster here from Six Flags Great America. It's called the Whizzer. And this roller coaster opened with the park in 1976. Now, the reason I included it is for both nostalgia and history. It's nostalgic for me because I remember riding that ride a lot. It's a whopping 70 feet tall with a 64-foot drop, and it goes a maximum of 42 miles an hour. It's not an impressive coaster, but the nostalgia is there for me. But I also included it for the history aspect of it because I learned something new researching this today. It was actually going to be in California's Great America Park and the Great America Park in Gurnee, Illinois. And it did open in both of those parks in 1976. Those parks are opened by the Marriott Corporation when they were trying
Wow.
to get into theme parks. I did not know that. Six Flags, I believe, owns both of them now. But yeah, I was like, I didn't know Marriott was doing that. Anyway, so the Whizzer in California has been torn down, but the Whizzer in the Gurnee, Illinois Six Flags is still there. And like you were saying about janky old roller coasters that should be replaced or whatever, they almost did tear this down. And the roller coaster enthusiasts of the world said, do not. So they kept it, and it's still there
That's
today.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good that they kept it there. And while you're saying all that, Incredicoaster is the sixth longest steel roller coaster in the world at just over 6,000 feet long, only behind Formula Rosa, Millennium Force, Fury 325, Fujiyama, and Steel Dragon 2000.
What do you know?
Yeah. What do you know? Uh, Last roller coaster on my list is going to be Superman Krypton Coaster at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. B&M Looping Coaster. I don't ever hear it get talked about, but it was one of my favorite rides over there. Kind of gave me Hulk vibes, except it had a chain lift. Had really cool inversions. It had a nice setting in front of the quarry wall over there. Um, yeah, very cool ride. If you go out to Fiesta, Texas, it's a highlight of the park for sure.
Well, all right. I'm glad we talked about that. It's always fun to celebrate some of the lesser celebrated
Yeah.
rides because those can be fun too for their own reasons.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Not everyone has to be a Millennium Force. Yeah, Millennium Force or whatever. I don't know anything
Yeah.
about this, but so we'll hop on out of that and hop on into a real quick theme park TRISTory here. This is actually still going back to the Hollywood Studios area, specifically the Disney-MGM Studios
Ooh,
opening day
okay.
attractions, which was boom boom, the Great Movie Ride and the Studio Backlot
Oh
Tour.
man.
That is it. Those were the only two attractions there on opening day. So
Oh
I'll read
man.
my little paragraph here and we'll get chugging along. Disney and Metro Goldwyn Mayer entered into a licensing agreement in 1985 where Disney could use the MGM logo and brand for the upcoming park. Several years after Epcot's opening, two new pavilions were to be built in the park, one of them being Wonders of Life, which did open, the other a pavilion that would celebrate film and show business. Michael Eisner pushed for the movie-themed pavilion to become its own park, possibly having something to do with Universal building their own show business-themed park just up the street. The park opened on May 1st, 1989, with just two attractions, the Great Movie Ride and the Studio Backlot Tour. The Great Movie Ride was largely unchanged from the time that it opened to its closure in August of 2017, with a few refurbishments adding new animatronics throughout the years, a change in cast member uniforms in the late 2000s, and the Turner Classic Movies sponsorship in 2015. Which changed the pre-show and finale films, added an onboard narration of the TCM host Robert Osborne, and drastically reduced the dialogue spoken by the tour guide. The Great Movie Ride closed its doors on August 13th, 2017, less than a month after it was announced that Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway would replace it. The Studio Backlot Tour has a much more eventful history, going through countless changes, essentially removing parts of the attraction one at a time, until eventually being half of the attraction it was on opening day. The tour started as a tram ride, which would load at what is now the Star Wars launch bay, and would drive through the streets of America, then Catastrophe Canyon. The guests would disembark from the tram and take a quick break before starting the walking tour portion of the attraction, which included catwalks above functioning sound stages in the park, the effects shop, and the water effects tank. The attraction was later scaled down, and the walking tour portion became its own attraction called Backstage Pass. The construction for the Lights, Motors, Action Stunt Show caused the tram portion of the attraction to be reduced in 2003, and in 2009, the cast member spiel was replaced by an automated narration. The ride permanently closed on September 27, 2014, after only a week's notice to cast members. The rest of the Streets of America was closed in 2016, and the entire area became what is now Toy Story Land and Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. MGM filed a lawsuit before the park even opened, claiming that the agreement was violated when it was discovered that Disney would be operating film and television studios on the property. Disney filed a countersuit, sounds familiar, claiming that their rights to the MGM name would be violated by MGM building a theme park at their MGM Grand and Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. Disney would be allowed to use the MGM name in the end, and MGM was allowed to open the MGM Grand Adventures theme park in Las Vegas, which only lasted from 93 to 2000. The Disney-MGM Studios was renamed Disney's Hollywood Studios in early 2008. History.
Wow. And we're about to get kicked off in a minute, but I had no idea that they only gave a week's notice about Backlot Tour. That's insane.
Get a new
Jeez.
job, cast members.
Oh my God, that's insane. Jeez, those poor cast members.
I know. But talk us out.
Yeah, man, wish we had more time to unpack that because I also even forgot to mention a lot of the snacks look pretty good at Minion Land. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Please remain seated. Check out next time when I talk about Pipeline, my review on that. Tristan, what else you got to add?
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, donate to our show for as little as $3 a month. Check out our Not Safe for Work comedy podcast, Two Useless Organisms.
Slay.
Bye.